Hello again, and welcome to Mr. Ulrich's LandofBiology.com. I'm Mr. Ulrich. In this video, we're going to be talking about digestive systems. Of course, when we start any organ system, we should talk about the life processes that organ system is kind of responsible for. Hopefully, you're thinking about nutrition, maybe even transport. A couple words on transport here as the life process. You should think about when food is actually in you. I'm a big fan of donuts. I think that we're all actually donut shaped. Really, a donut is a three-dimensional object with a hole that goes through the middle. Mathematically, I think they call it a torus. And really, we are also three-dimensional objects that have this tube that runs through the middle of us. So our digestive tract is kind of like a glorified donut hole. And just like you can drop a marble through a donut and it's never actually in the donut's just surrounding it. When we drop food through our digestive tract, it's not really in us, we're just kind of surrounding it. It gets in us when it's absorbed into our bloodstream and into our lymphatic system, so that it can be circulated throughout our body. Speaking of nutrition, we should think back to the beginning of the year. We talked about nutrition as far as autotrophs versus heterotrophs. Autotrophs are things like trees, plants, things that can manufacture their own fuel molecules, glucose from sun's energy, and inorganic molecules. We, of course, are heterotrophs who have to steal our organic molecules from other things, usually by eating them and using them for fuel, fuel for respiration. We also are going to eat other things so that we have raw materials for synthesis and assimilation so that we can grow and repair. Okay, now that we have discussed digestive systems in general, we need to talk about the human digestive system, which is all about bringing food close and broken down enough to be absorbed. In the digestive system, we have basically two categories of organs. We have the alimentary canal. This is also known as the digestive tract or the GI tract, the gastrointestinal tract. Okay, this is the food tube. These are the organs that the food actually goes through. All right. There are also accessory organs. Food actually never goes through the accessory organs. It just adds stuff to the food as it goes by, usually digestive juices or lubricants or something like this. Okay, so let's go over the organs of the human digestive system. We're going to start in the head region, and I'll break them up into alimentary and accessory organs. Food enters the alimentary canal in the mouth, and in the mouth there are teeth that are going to chew the food. Remember, the food isn't going to go through the teeth. It might go between the teeth, but it is not going to go through the teeth, so that's why they're accessory. Food definitely goes through the mouth, so that's why it's alimentary. If you're wondering why the diagram below is in Albanian, I use that so that students will pay attention when I'm showing them this in class. If you go to MrUlrichsLandofBiology.com, you can download a digestive system diagram, and the numbers on these slides and on the organs corresponds with the diagram on MrUlrichsLandofBiology.com, so go there. Okay, also in the mouth we have the tongue. The tongue's job is to taste. It's a good idea to know whether something is food or not before you actually start to swallow it. The salivary glands are going to produce saliva, which contains enzymes and lubricant. We've all swallowed a potato chip without chewing it up enough, probably, and know how that feels without lubricating it. Once the tongue tastes the food and lubes it up with the saliva, it's going to be swallowed down through the pharynx, which is just another way of saying throat. It's going to go past the epiglottis, which closes the trachea, so that you don't get food going down the wrong tube. And from there, it's going to go down the esophagus. This is where peristalsis is going to begin. Peristalsis is the squeezing behind food that kind of forces it down the tube. The example that people always use is pushing a marble through a hose. You'd squeeze behind the marble. I often wonder, when do people push marbles through hoses? Okay, moving from the head and neck region down into the thoracic region, the food is going to go into the stomach, the alimentary canal part of the thoracic region. It's actually quite a bit higher than most people think about. Usually when you say you have a stomach ache, you're talking about a little further down the line, which we'll get to. So in the stomach, the food is going to be ground into a paste. The paste is called chyme. It's kind of a liquidy slurry, and this is where protein digestion is going to begin. The liver is also in this region. The job of the liver is it is an accessory organ, so food doesn't go through it. The job of the liver is to produce bile. Bile actually is a compound that comes from the breakdown of red blood cells. The job of bile is to break fat into little blobs, which a process we call emulsification. That bile that's produced is actually stored in the gallbladder, so that's a nice thing to have, so that if you have a particularly fatty meal, when you're eating, you know, a greasy cheeseburger, it's good to have quite a bit of bile stored up so that you can break up all of that grease. Also, just kind of below the stomach is an organ called the pancreas. We'll talk about the pancreas later when we get to the endocrine system as well, because it has those functions. But as far as a digestive organ, it's going to produce digestive enzymes that are secreted into the common bile duct and then into the small intestine. As food moves through the alimentary canal into the abdominal region, it's going to move from the stomach into the small intestine. This is really the business section of the digestive system. This is where the breakdown, the digestion of molecules is going to kind of complete, and the absorption of pretty much most of the nutrients is going to take place. The adaptations that it has for increased surface areas, it's really, it's very long. It's called the small intestine, but that's misleading. It's not really small. It's the biggest part of the whole digestive system. It's small in bore. It has a lot of folds, and the folds actually have little finger-like projections on them, and all of those things help to increase the surface area. So there's lots of little capillaries down there, so that they can exchange that material, and so that the nutrients can diffuse into the bloodstream and into the lymphatic system. Really important part of the digestive system. Not that the other parts aren't important. The large intestine is large in bore size. The job of the large intestine is water absorption. By the time the material gets there, you've absorbed pretty much everything nutrient-wise that you're going to be able to absorb from it, and all that's left is water. The appendix, we talked about it before as being one of those vestigial organs. It certainly is a reduced form of something that used to be quite a bit larger, but I'm not really sure if it is as useless as it may have been thought to be. There seems to be some indication that it might help to control the levels and different types of gut bacteria, those unicellular organisms that live inside of our guts. From the large intestine, so we can't really call it food anymore now, it's really feces, is going to move into the rectum for storage and eventually be eliminated via the anus. That's probably a fitting place to end this video on the digestive system. I'd like to thank you all for tuning in to MrUlrichsLandofBiology.com. Once again, please go to the website and get the material, the notes sheets, and other stuff that might be helpful to you there. Of course, you can always email me if you have any questions or comments or constructive criticism or any other feedback. Or hey, if you think that you have material that can add to these videos, things like pictures or diagrams or drawings that might make it better, or replace some of the pictures that I have on there, that would certainly be worthwhile of extra credit. Once again, thanks for stopping in, and I will see you in class.